Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday live stream. How's it going? I'm like checking to make sure everything's working and trying to talk at the same time. Excuse me for that. Uh, Welcome. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. How's it going? Yeah, today's the Saturday live stream. I'm excited for, I guess I'm excited. We're in like pseudo JavaScript territory we're getting into today, which always makes me nervous, especially in a live stream because I'm not very good at JavaScript. So yeah, that's what we're doing. How's it going? Hey, on this channel, we do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No libraries, no frameworks. And that's just because I enjoy vanilla and I want to encourage more people to practice vanilla. Obviously, in order to get a job, you have to know frameworks, libraries, React, and Tailwind, probably, let's be honest. And but I still think that learning vanilla, understanding how the browser works, understanding the three things that the browser renders natively, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I still think those things are important. And I just want to encourage people to get better at them and understand them and learn them. That's just my 2 cents. I admittedly am, excuse me, always struggling with JavaScript. It's like the thing that has taken me the longest to learn, and I'm like very intermediate. My strength is really building UIs, so HTML and CSS, building layouts, making sure that it's accessible and semantic and responsive and SEO friendly. That's like really what my strength is. So we tend to do a lot of that here. I'm guessing that if I did more JavaScript or really leaned in more to JavaScript, I would probably grow my audience a little bit faster. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, I do what I'm comfortable with, right? But I will admit I need to do a bit more. I need to do a bit more JavaScript. So we're gonna like get into a little bit of JavaScript today. Not a ton, but a little bit. Gogo Elmo is here. Malik Robinson, welcome Malik. We're so happy to have you. Malik started his is it web design or web development? Help me, web design internship this week, which is so exciting. And he's been giving me little micro updates. Yeah, do me a favor. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We just practice, we build out. I grab a mock-up. It's either something that I designed or something that I have a license for, and we just build it out. And this is now, we're working on our second full website. Back to back, we did full websites where normally I do a lot of landing pages. This is something that I designed back in 2014. I called it Scenic. I don't know why I called it that. That's what I called it. And this was back when I was a WordPress developer. So when I was designing sites, I was very WordPress theme slash template focused. So I would do a home page, I would do a blog page, and then I would just do like a normal page, and then I would generally do a contact page because I think it's a good idea to make sure that you're implementing some form styles. And this build has gone really, really well. I think that there have been a couple of tricky things that I've run into, which is the sign up form for the newsletter subscription, which I implemented an endpoint for MailChimp, which that is not in and of itself difficult. But the code that MailChimp gives you, they spit out a lot of code, a lot of inline styles, a lot of scripts. So we got a little help from ChatGPT to like break that down and just grab the endpoint and just put in what MailChimp specifically is looking for when that data is getting sent over. Where I got tripped up during the live stream is with the submission, the double opt-in, and There were things that I should have done offline for the first time and not in a live stream. And for the first time, I really just mean I hadn't done it in about a year and I forgot how it worked. So I'm going to re-record a tutorial on how to grab an endpoint from MailChimp so you could do a newsletter sign up, because it's free. You don't need a paid account on MailChimp to do that, and building an email list is always a great idea. So this was sort of it works, but it's a little bit incomplete in terms of what we did in the live stream. That turned out to be a little bit of a gotcha. The contact form, we used FormSpree. I love FormSpree. Again, I just have a free account on FormSpree. Super simple. They just give you an endpoint. You can send the data over. I personally love FormSpree. So again, I don't pay for them. Sign up for a free account. I think you get like 50 form submissions a month. I don't get 50 form submissions a year. So it's like perfect for me. So the form stuff all turned out well, despite some of the hiccups with the newsletter. Here's where we had some issues though. In our last session, our last stream, we were trying to implement a parallax. And listen, this is like a fake parallax where the background is fixed. True parallax is where the background is scrolling faster than the foreground. That's what a true parallax looks like. And traditionally, we did that with a JavaScript library. There are all CSS solutions for parallax, but I'll be damned if I can figure it out. We spent quite a bit of time, more time than I would like to. I don't love to do a struggle session when I'm streaming, even though I think it's part of the package, if we call it practice. I just couldn't get it to work, and we followed a couple different tutorials. This must have been on Thursday last week, or just this past week. So offline, I watched 3 tutorials. I watched a Kevin Powell tutorial. I watched another tutorial from a channel I think it's called Red Stapler, and I don't remember the third tutorial that I watched. The Kevin Powell tutorial was super detailed. Like, he had multiple layers of backgrounds that he was setting different speeds to, and it was like, as soon as I saw the markup and what he was going to do, and Kevin, I've gotten comments before to stop doing trigger warnings, and I think what people mean by that is that I qualify that I like somebody even though something they didn't work for me. Sorry. I think Kevin Powell is great, but that particular tutorial just didn't work for me. And as soon as I saw like the 5, 6, 7 layers deep of parallax that he was going to implement, I completely disassociated. And I was like, okay. So after a couple hours of following tutorials, watching videos, and lots of Googling, I just couldn't get it to work. And I was tired of even trying to get it to work. So and also those tutorials are all 2 to 3 years old. So maybe something has changed in the browser, and it's simply those things that those people were implementing just don't work anymore. One moment. Hold, please. Do you ever have days where, for whatever reason, your coffee just tastes so good? I don't know. I make it the exact same way every single day. I like consistency. I measure. I'm just very precise with my coffee, and I promise you, I'm not a coffee snob. I just like to be consistent. For some reason today, it just tastes so damn good. Okay. And let's see here. Oh, and Malik says, yes, it's a web design internship, but I think you mentioned that there were some opportunities for development also. You could get some development related tasks. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping you get. Rayhan is here. Welcome, Rayhan. Hello. No one is here. Hello. Happy Saturday. No one. We're happy to have you. Okay, back to the parallax. I listen, guys, I just couldn't get it to work and I was getting so annoyed and I had other things that I wanted to do. So we are implementing a faux fake parallax. It's a problem to solve another day. Now, I will say this homepage needed something. And so it is going to be a fake parallax. We're going to quickly style this content and we're going to move on with our lives, okay? Sometimes, now, if this was a job, if I was at a job, obviously I would be putting in the reps to figure out how to get this to work. This isn't a job. There's no HR department here. I don't have anybody breathing down my neck telling me to get this implemented. It's a personal project. I think that I'm a pretty darn good problem solver, and sometimes I throw in the towel. I know when to say uncle, and I say uncle because I just don't give a shit about this parallax section anymore. But I will acknowledge that this homepage needed a little something extra. So we're going to style this text. And then I had one other thing I wanted to do up here. So this was I was like, why did I do this? I know what this is. This is like when you look up the definition of a word and it like gives you a phonetic or it gives you the syllables. So this is clearly scenic, 2 syllables, right? So I want to do something different though. So I Googled this the other day. Phonetic spelling of scenic. You can see right there. There we go. That's what I'm going to implement right there. But then also I was like, 2014, is this really the definition of scenic? So I'm just going to Google scenic. I thought this was so funny. Hang on, this is not what it showed me the other day. There we go. What does scenic mean? It's still basically the same definition, providing or relating to views of impressive or beautiful natural scenery. And look at, this is clearly where I got this in 2014 when I decided to call this. I don't know why I thought this was interesting. So, but I'm going to change this. We're going to change this and we'll make this C bold. I don't know, just a little detail. Just a little detail. We'll put that there. Oh, come on. There we go. And then I'm going to put strong tags around it. I love it. Okay. I don't know why I felt like I needed to do that, but I did. So, all right. So let's just go ahead and style this, our fake parallax section. Collapse that right here. I don't know. I did my best. I threw in the towel. I was like, I don't care about this anymore. Nobody, and there isn't anybody here to make me do it, so I'm not going to do it. So, I don't know. Okay. So let's just, how do we want to get this on the page? Maybe the same way that we did the hero. So here's our hero content. But in order to do that, the parent container has to have this. Yeah. I'm still a little fuzzy on how this content gets its width. You know what I mean? Like, how is there a break, and how does this container get its width? Because the width of this container is not actually defined. Let's look at this a little closer. I was thinking about this the other day. So it's this container right here. It doesn't actually have a width. So we're centering it with margin 0 auto. But we're not actually defining a width for this container. So how does it know to break after the word or? I don't really understand that. Because what we're doing with display flex, this right here, this is about centering it horizontally, not on the y-axis, not on the x-axis. So I don't know. I'm just being honest about the fact that I don't 100% understand why this works. So let's implement this again for this faux parallax section and see if we get any clarity. Yeah, like this is literally oh, see, it does. Is it just because of the padding? So this is behaving how I would expect it to. So maybe it's just because of the padding, but why does this container so clearly it doesn't, or does this, wait, does this have a width? Oh, max width 40 characters. That's why. It's because we put a max width. Yes. Okay. Mystery solved. Mystery solved. Maybe the aspect ratio does that. I mean, that's an excellent guess, but I think I'm about 20 seconds. In 20 seconds, this is going to catch up to you. So it's because I put a max width on the paragraph right here. Okay. Mystery solved. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put, should we just do a max width on the content again? Yeah, why not? And we obviously need to put something behind this, but I think this is a good way to go. All right, I love it when we solve a mystery. So let's just put some padding. We might want to clamp this. So let's do 1 rem of padding. On mobile, 2 rems on desktop, 3 VW for that in-between size. And then let's give this some background. Give this a background color with some transparency. And I want to use the I'm going to use the dark blue. Wait. 35, 102, 155. I won't remember that. Can't I just... and maybe 85%. And we'll give this some border radius of 10 pixels. And then we need to make that a button. It's a little boring. It's looking a little boring. I don't know how I feel about this 80 characters. There, let's do 100. That looks a little better. Ooh, that looks good. I like that. And then we've got one rem of padding all the way around to hold it in. That looks really good, actually. Okay, let's make this little heading a lot bigger, and then we'll do our call to action button, and then we'll be done. So we'll do font size. We may want to clamp this as well. What have we been doing for other secondary headings? Right here. I like that. I mean, I do like it. What do we have for button styles? We didn't really do dedicated buttons this time, did we? We've done that in the past. I didn't do that this time. So if we look at, I would like to borrow some styles. I think I want to borrow maybe this style because it's against a dark background. We also have this, but this is already dark. So if we borrow these button styles, I'm going to copy. I think this is everything we need. I'm going to copy this. We'll just add some generic button styles. And instead of this, We'll just give it a button class. So now we'll see if this works. We're so close. Okay, we just have to add a couple of details. But I think those details are already so we have to implement some of these styles. Stick with me. I'm gonna stick these right here. Okay. So we know that we're going to need some padding. We're going to need a font size and a font weight and a line height. And we're going to need a transition. All right. And I'm not going to do this because it doesn't need to be centered. I'm not going to worry about a width. I don't think we need any of this. That was very specific to the button for the form. And then I think we're going to need to, because it's a link and not a button, we have to make sure that we're saying text decoration, none. We have to remove that. I want the, okay, we're close. We're very close. Let's make sure, I think the font size is too big. I don't think we need a lighter font weight. Okay. And then I'm going to do text transform uppercase with letter spacing 1 pixel. Okay. And then we can give this a little bit of border radius. And then I think it just needs, how do we feel about this button? Kind of feel like our default button should maybe be transparent background and then a hover to be white. Let's make it the opposite. So the background color can be transparent. And then the focus hover active can be white. Which means we need the color to be white. And then we need this to be dark blue. Yeah, I like this better. And then this margin is overlapping. So we probably, it's inside a paragraph tag, and paragraphs are block level elements with margin. So we don't need to like change the display property if we're putting it inside paragraph tags. And as somebody is telling me to use Bootstrap, yeah, no, I don't use libraries or frameworks. You must be new here. And I'm also not your sister, so. Okay. So I think we can just add some margin. We can just add some margin here. We'll just say margin. We'll do 2 rems on top, 0 on the left and right. Oh, and it's not going to work because that is a inline element. So maybe I will take this out of the paragraph tags. And then we can change the display to inline block. And then we'll put the margin back. Whoops. There we go. Hang on. Did I not save? Okay. There we go. So there's the margin pulling it down, probably because this is display inline block instead of display block. So I bet if this was display block, yeah, it would be right up against. Well, no, it wouldn't. There we go. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that button. Should we change the background color of this maybe? Too much blue? Where's our background color? Right here. Or we could try white. This is what happens when you don't work from a mock-up. Oh, that's... That looks a little better. What if we just did white? We'll go back to blue. Okay. And then let's change these back. Well, we'll leave it here for now. Maybe just make it a little more opaque. Oof. I mean, how is this going to look for accessibility? It won't tell us the contrast because I put the color on the parent container. So let's put it here because I want the browser to tell me no contrast information available. Is that because I have opacity? Usually it'll still tell me what it is. It must be, is it because you have to have the background color on the parent? There we go. It's not accessible. It's not accessible. Okay, so we do have to change it back to the darker blue. Well, it's good we checked. There we go. So we're at least meeting the AA standard right here. I'll take it. Okay. Are we ready to move on? I don't know if this is the effect that I had in mind. I mean, I did genuinely want, and also I forgot to change the width. That's why it looks so weird. There we go. I don't know if this is the effect that I had in mind. Because I did genuinely want a parallax effect, but also it's a little boring, isn't it? It's a little boring. Well, you know what? We're not done yet, right? Let's move on. Let's move on to our social sharing buttons. Because we definitely have stuff here to do. And I don't know, I do this every time I stream. I'm like, oh, I'll work on this. I'll work on this and see if I can figure it out and improve it. And then I never do. So, what else can we do to this to make it look less boring? Could we put like a border here or something? Okay, Angela, you have to move on. The Clash of Clans is here. How are you doing? I'm doing well. How are you? Can you try to give some background blur effect to the parallax content? Actually, that's not a bad idea, but I think that we should put some like a border or something around this. Okay, I have an idea. So let's give this the wrap class. So it's the same width, and then we won't need this. I have an idea. Stick with me. Okay. That actually already kind of improved. Let's I'm gonna give this some more padding. Let's give this a border. Let's do, I'm gonna take this out. We don't need this. That was just for checking the accessibility, the color contrast in the browser. And then let's do let's do a pseudo class, or a pseudo element, excuse me. Let's make sure that this is position relative. This is going to be position absolute. We'll say width. Well, no, it's not going to be 100%. It's going to be, we're going to calculate it. It's going to be, if we have 4 rems, clamping this may not work with a clamp. We may have to just do a media query. So this would be 100% minus 2 rems. The height would be also a calculation, 100% minus 2 rems. And then it would be a border of 2 pixels, solid, white, and then also a border radius. We're close. If it's padding 4 rems, is it the same? This must be the same. Oh, hang on, forgot this. So we need top 2 rems, left 2 rems. Can we give this some, it just needs to maybe not be white. What about our blue color? Or what are our options? So we've got a yellow, a green. We could also try one of the gray colors. I think the white has too much contrast. So I think we can keep the border radius. We could try, let's just try a couple different colors and see if we can get this to work. I don't think that's quite right. Maybe the green. That doesn't have enough contrast. Maybe we have like a light gray and a medium gray. I do kind of like that, but it's got a lot of contrast. maybe kind of like the yellow. Yeah, and then let's increase the padding. So let's give it another rem of padding, and then we can change this. And then this would be 2.5. And then let's go back to 2 pixels dotted. Yes. What do we think of that? See, now I think the gray might actually work. The medium gray. What do we think of that? I think that this makes, so I like this a lot compared to white. That is super high contrast to me. But I think this medium gray kind of works. And so we have an equal amount of padding here. But let's just pull this back a little bit and give it a little more padding on the inside. Yes. What do we think? We have to adjust our calculation then. So this needs to be, if we're going to do this, if it's going to be 100% minus 5, I think it needs to be 5.5, right? To account? No. I think it needs maybe 4.5. Hang on. I'm getting confused by the math. No, I think it still needs to be 4. Okay, hang on, Angela. So if we want it to be, if we have 5 rems of padding, there we go. Okay. This looks even, right? I think so. Yeah, this looks even. And there's a little extra padding on the inside than the outside. I mean, we could even pull this out a little bit more. So 1.5 and 1.5. So that would make this minus 3, right? So this is always going to be double what the top or the left value is. I think that looks good too. Good question. How do you feel about solid instead of dotted? I gotta admit, I like the dots, but we can try solid. No, I don't like solid. I don't like solid. I like the dots. And the only way I would like solid is if it was a 1 pixel. But I like the dots. I like that. And then, yeah, let's make this background blurry. I like that suggestion also. So let's make the background blurry. Hang on, we did this. We did this on this build right here, where we made this blurry. How do we do this? Backdrop filter, blur 5 pixels. Backdrop filter, blur 5 pixels. I like it. What do we think? I mean, it's not it's not like the highly polished expert UI UX. I mean, nothing that I do is. But this gives it just a little tiny bit of extra polish that I like. Okay, we clearly need to make sure now that we have this looking okay on mobile. So let's do a couple of quick media queries. So where do we need to break this? Probably at 1024. I think we could break this at like 960. Let's do it at 960. Sometimes you just have to mess around with it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. Just try a few different things. I like the dots. I'm partial to the dots. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to adjust the parallax content. So I'm going to change the padding, I think to 2 rems. And then for this, I'm going to copy this. We don't need this. We don't need this. So let's change this to 0.5. And we'll change this to 1. I have to turn the spell check off for VS Code. It drives me crazy. Okay. Yeah, this looks fine. I don't love the padding for the buttons, though. We need to adjust that. Really? This is what I have for our other buttons? Okay. We're going to adjust this a little bit. Well, let's just do 1 rem. There we go. I think this looks fine. I don't know. Do we need like a different color background? The problem is that it's tough with accessibility in these colors. We don't have a very good color palette. We just have a lot of blue. There's just a lot of blue here. So I'm going to stick with what we have here. I like the blurry background. I like the subtle border. It makes me want to put a border here, but I have a tendency to get a little crazy with borders sometimes. So we're just going to keep it here. And I think this gives our page just like the little extra zhuzh that it needs. Let's do this. Let's take a full screen picture. Let's just take like a full screen picture of this at like 1600 right there. So I'm going to go to HTML, capture node screenshot. Let's see if we can get it to take a picture of the whole thing. Let's check it. Let's just see how the whole screen looks. Okay, it looks a little weird. Try this again. There we go. And doesn't look quite right. It's not capturing the, hang on. It's not capturing the background. It's not capturing this background. Let's do this. Let's do it on this instead. Yeah, it's not capturing the background, but we still get the idea. I think we still get the idea. All right, Angela, you have to move on. Time to move on. Okay. Okay. So let's go to our blog page. I looked back at a previous project that I had where I implemented social sharing, and clearly there's some JavaScript here. You don't need an API to implement links for sharing. So the last time I did this, Twitter was in fact still Twitter. Now, obviously, it's X. But all you needed, like for Facebook, was this URL, www.facebook.com/share/share.php $u equals, so just an endpoint of u equals, presumably for URL, and then an encoded URL. And I used the JavaScript encode URI URL, and we just grabbed the window location href. So this is a really easy way to make social sharing dynamic links. So let's double check that this would actually, that these are actually still the same. We need to check Twitter. We've got LinkedIn and Facebook. We'll hard code them first. And let's not use like a local host. Let's use an actual URL. So we can go to our GitHub and look at, so we've got an actual URL here, right? So we're going to use this as our absolute URL. So this is the path to the blog post. So this would be, so for Facebook, and we can test this on Facebook, right? I'm not going to worry about the encoding right now. So it would be this. This would be the URL. And then if it was still Twitter, it would be this, and then it would be a title, and the title is Nordic Sky at Night with a space. And then for LinkedIn, it would be this. And then for an email address, we would do the mail to. So here's the encoded URL, the title, Nordic Sky at Night. Nope, that's the body. You could do both. Just like that. So, what do we have filled in for our open graph? So let's also make sure that we have some of our open graph information filled in here. So here's the blog page, and the open graph URLs want absolute paths, not relative paths. So again, we're going to use our GitHub pages. And let me catch up on a couple of comments here. Since you have dotted there, I think it makes sense to have it on the top section with the title also would look nice. Ooh, don't tempt me. This extension works for your full page screenshot. Yeah, I don't like using extensions. I like to use the browser. It's native in the browser to do a full page screenshot, and the screenshot works. It's just not capturing that background image. So I think I have used extensions in the past, and then I discovered that you could do it. I would say 98% of the time it works just fine. It's not working though because of that background image. That's the only reason why it's not working. So, but yeah, that I am sure that extension works really, really well. I'm trying to cut back on the number of extensions that I install because I have so many. So that's the only reason I'm not going to do it. But thank you for pointing that out and putting it in the chat. So let's get some of our open graph information filled out with absolute paths, and then we'll push this up to our GitHub, and then I'll show you on the Facebook debugger how I scrape a page for Facebook. So we'll give this, this is the blog page. I'm going to do this. And then we'll say, well, actually, because it has a title, doesn't it? It has an H1, Nordic Sky at Night. So we'll say Nordic Sky at Night. And you probably wouldn't do this. So your title would be your H1, and then the name of the site. And then I'm going to say, the Nordic Sky at Night from Minnesota. The Nordic Sky at Night from Minnesota is really beautiful. So that's going to be my description. And then again, our title, we're going to say is the Nordic Sky at Night. The type is a website. The image, what is the image that we want to be for the page? So probably we would want it to be this, right? So which image is this? This is the Nevin Johnson image from Unsplash. So again, let's grab our URL. Well, actually, it's this URL right here. This is the URL source. I could just copy this like this. Here's the image. And then what's the URL of the page is and then we want a description for the site. Okay, that's fine. The site name is Scenic. The locale is US. So we have a title and description for SEO, and then we have open graph meta tags, basically for social media and scraping the page when you share something on social media. So let's go ahead and you can see here that this updated up here in our tab. And everything here is filled in. So let's save this and push this up to our GitHub pages. And then we can look at it on the Facebook debugger. We should also check mobile. So we were styling the parallax, adding open graph meta tags to blog. All right, let's give that a moment. Okay. This clear cache, I've been using this clear cache extension for years. I don't know what is different about how it works lately. It just takes forever. And this isn't loaded yet. So, okay, let me open up Facebook. I rarely go to Facebook anymore. Very rarely. No, stop. Okay. So here we are on Facebook. Oh, this is this composer that I really, really like. The day that he followed me on Facebook back in 2011, I felt like I couldn't breathe for 24 hours. I was so excited. His name is Fazil Sai. He's amazing. I think this is his daughter. Is it? No, it's somebody else, probably another musician. Anyways, okay, Facebook debugger. Facebook debugger. Sharing debugger. You have to be logged into Facebook. Okay. So let's make sure that this is updated first. It's not. Oh, we gotta go to the blog, Angela. There we go. Now it is. So I'm going to take this link right here. We'll go to the sharing debugger. We'll have it scrape the page. Yep, so this URL hasn't been shared on Facebook before. Hang on, let me make sure that you can see. So we'll fetch new information. There we go. And it's getting all of the information that we put in. So it's identifying the Open Graph meta tags. It's grabbing that image. Oh, we didn't put in an alt. Okay. Open Graph image alt. Yeah, we should probably do that. Response code 206. What does that mean? Okay. Missing properties. The following required properties are missing. Facebook app ID. I'm not putting Facebook app ID in. This isn't a Facebook app. Stop trying to trick me into using your properties, Facebook. I'm not using your API. Alt. What does this picture look like? A long and winding road in the fall with the leaves changing colors. Okay, so let's go ahead and push this again. This is such a good way to test your Open Graph meta tags. Adding Open Graph image alt text. And 100% your leadership team, if you're doing front end for any organization, they are inevitably going to come to you and say, when we share this on Teams, when we share it on Facebook, when we share it on LinkedIn, when we share it on X, like the image isn't coming up, the description isn't coming up, things like that are not coming up that should be coming up anytime you're sharing. It could just be as simple as, I'll tell you how it came up for us at St. Thomas, because we use Teams for everything. And when people were sharing links amongst the department to talk about different sites or different pages or different tasks in Teams, they weren't even loading correctly. And they were like, well, if it's not loading correctly in Teams, how does it look on LinkedIn? How does it look on Facebook? How does it look on X? So that was how I kind of went down the whole Open Graph rabbit hole, even though I was aware of it, because I've known about the Facebook debugger forever, but I didn't really learn about it and like deep dive into it and make sure that every page had an image, whether it was a default image or it was grabbing the image on the page. Just making sure that everything loaded correctly, because front-end development, more often than not, in my opinion, it's marketing. Website, I get it. You could be working on an app, you could be working on e-commerce. Many, many, many front-end developers are going to be working in marketing departments. You're going to be building landing pages. You're going to be doing lead generation. And the marketing people, the people who write the ads and do the ad campaigns, they want, when links get shared on social media, they want to see images, titles, descriptions, all of those things loading and getting scraped correctly. So it is pretty important as front-end developers to understand Open Graph meta tags and making sure that things load correctly on social media. And honestly, I should have been talking about this a long time ago because I build so many landing pages. So this is like a good reminder for me to make sure that we're always including Open Graph meta tags and doing this kind of scraping maybe as part of the QA process. Yeah, because it is really important. Okay, let's see if this is loaded. We can rescrape. Here's our alt text. So I'll come back to Facebook now and I'm going to say scrape again. Okay, and now we have our alt text. The following required properties are missing. The Facebook app ID. I'm not going to set up an app ID for every website for Facebook. Okay. So now what that means is we should be able to take this and share it on Facebook, right? I don't actually want to share this, but I guess I could. What's on your mind, Angela? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what's on my... There we go. And you can see now that this is sharing correctly. So this is step 1 in getting things to share. This is step 1. I'm actually going to delete this. Delete. Okay, so what if we wanted to do this now on LinkedIn? Again, this is just like step 1. Let me pull up my LinkedIn. Okay, share a post. There. It's pulling up the correct image, and it's at least pulling up the title. Okay. Discard. And then what about X? Let's make sure it gets scraped on X. Three platforms I literally don't care about, but I am forced to care about. And it's going to make me post this. That's fine. Nobody follows me. Nobody follows me on X, so it doesn't matter. Wait a second. Let's go back to my profile. Okay. Yeah, so this is loading. Good. That is loading. Okay. Step 1. Open Graph meta tags are filled in, and you can share correctly on these 3 platforms. So that is step 1 of setting up sharing URLs. Step 2 is that we need to, I think we need to make sure, well, we've got the Facebook and we've got the LinkedIn. So let's make sure that the 2 that we have actually work. And then we'll check and see what X is, and we'll check and see what Pinterest is. And we'll also test the mail to, and then we'll test the print. This is probably going to bleed into tomorrow. I have a feeling this is going to take the majority of the weekend, and I'm here for it because we should definitely be doing more of this. So let's put these 2 links in, and then we'll test the sharing. And then once we know that the static values work, then we can write JavaScript to make it dynamic and grab the URL off of the respective page. Even though we only have 1 blog, maybe we could make a couple different blog pages. We could do that too, just to test. So let's get down here to, here's our sharing. So here's the Facebook right here. And then let's make sure that this opens in a new window. So here's our Facebook URL. Here's X, here's Pinterest, and then here's LinkedIn. And we'll go ahead and put in email also, because that should be pretty straightforward. So here's email right here. So for email, instead of href or instead of HTTP, you do mail to. Do people know that? Is that understood by most people? I don't know. I'm not sure if most people understand that or if most people know that. You can do a bunch of endpoints for a mail to. And so what we're really doing here is we're leaving out the email address because I don't know who you're going to email this to. And we're just putting in endpoints that fill in the subject and the body and the link. It's pretty cool, actually. So let's go ahead and push this up to our GitHub page. I'm going to I'm signed into everything, but I'm going to close those tabs. And then let's push back up to our GitHub page, and then we can test those 3 things. So we're testing Facebook, LinkedIn, and email. And then we have to check for X, Pinterest. And then I think we're going to end up doing the print tomorrow because we have to write some print styles. But that'll be fun. Trust me, that's going to be fun. We've done that before here, and it's a good time. It's a good time. We love print styles. Links for Facebook, LinkedIn, and email sharing. Okay. And Malik says, I don't think most people know. I learned about it a few months ago specifically. Yeah, there's lots of different things you can do with mail to and links. Yeah. Give this a second. All right. Oh boy. Okay. So there's our Facebook, there's our LinkedIn, there's our email. So let's check email first. So when I click email, and I feel like you have to have your browser or your operating system set up to do this. This may not be automatic for everybody. Here's what I think is going to happen when I click this button. It's going to open my primary Gmail email, and it's going to open up a tab for me to compose an email, and it's going to fill some things in. So let's try it. Yes. Do we see what just happened? It filled in the title as the it filled in the title as the subject, and then it filled in the title again in the body, and it included the URL in the body. So right here, subject equals Nordic sky at night, and then the body equals Nordic sky at night space the link. And then all you have to do is if you just wanted to email it to yourself. So info at. I would just email this to myself. Here's an awesome blog article. Enjoy. There we go. And then I just go ahead and send that. Message sent. I'll see if I got it. I haven't gotten it yet. Okay. So the email works. Now I'm expecting that when I click the LinkedIn, it's going to open LinkedIn in a new tab and automatically share it. Holy shit, it worked. It automatically put the link in here. This is a link from my new website template. Enjoy. Again, nobody pays any attention to me on LinkedIn, so I'm just going to go ahead and post this, and it literally won't matter. That's exactly how that works. I'm shocked that this is all working on the first try. Okay, now let's do Facebook, share. And it automatically loads a post and gets it ready. There you go. This is a link from my new website template. Enjoy. Share. Wow. And no one says, I learned Open Graph this when I was exploring SEO. For me, SEO is a headache. Yeah, it can definitely be a headache. I agree that SEO is a headache. The more experience I get as a developer, the more I see how organic SEO is incredibly important. All of there are SEO specialists out there, like their whole careers are doing search engine optimization, and I know why that's important and why those jobs exist. But no amount of fancy SEO stuff can compensate for bad structure, for incomplete titles, incomplete descriptions. I do think the Open Graph meta tags are important, and just good semantic HTML. I also think that search engine optimization and accessibility are like siblings. I feel like if you're observing good SEO practices, you will be naturally creating accessible web pages, and vice versa. If you're paying attention to accessibility and like template hierarchy and understanding structurally that you only use a section element if you've got a heading, otherwise you use a div, and you have a good hierarchy of H1, H2, H3, and you understand articles, sections, asides, things like that, that will complement your SEO, if that makes sense. So I think they go hand in hand. And once I started to really dig into being more accessible, which was probably right around 2019, I think 2018, 2019, right in there. Once I started to become more accessible, SEO felt less confusing and exhausting and like less of a headache. That is the best way for me. I think calling it a headache is actually a really accurate description up until when I started to get more accessible, and then it just became less of a headache. So I don't know, I hope that helps. I feel like SEO and accessibility really go hand in hand, but oh my gosh, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the email links all working. This makes me so happy. So it makes me want to see if the Twitter link still works. Should we just see if the Twitter link still works? Here's the Twitter link. What are the chances that this Twitter link still works? Did Elon turn twitter.com off? Like, does that URL not exist anymore? Let's just try it. Target equals _ blank. And then we also did a project. Let's just work on the print stuff tomorrow. Yeah, let's just set aside all day tomorrow for print. I was hoping that we'd be ready for deployment tomorrow, because we definitely need JavaScript for the print. We need a click event, right? I think so. We did a whole project on a printable website. So let's just do that tomorrow. And then we could also do the dynamic stuff tomorrow too, where we're grabbing the URL and grabbing the title from the page. We'll just concentrate on getting Twitter and Pinterest figured out, and then let's check mobile. And I think that'll be good for today. Okay, let's push this up. This is making me very, very happy though, that this is all working. Hopefully you guys see the value in this, because it has definitely come up in my career, needing to understand these things. Adding URL/link for Twitter or X sharing. Okay, and while that is percolating, let me pull up my phone, and do me a favor. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would appreciate it. Helps the algorithm, helps me push this out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. Let's see here. Okay. I think this is looking pretty good. Let me move this banner. Whoop. There we go. I think this is looking pretty good. Oh, and Rahul Builds is here. You are right on time. You're exactly where you should be. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about it's just overwhelming, right? Like I learn a bunch of front end stuff, like I learn CSS stuff and then I learn HTML stuff and it's like, oh yeah, you have to learn SEO and now you have to learn accessibility and now you have to learn this and now you have to understand that. And it just seems like it never ends, all the things that you have to understand in front end. It's so much more than HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I mean, I love it, but I'm also just like, what else is there? What else do you need me to do? It gets overwhelming sometimes. I like our little faux. Do you see that our background is not fixed on mobile? Yeah, I feel like I knew that. Background attachment fixed apparently does not work on mobile because that is definitely not fixed. Okay, let's go to our blog. Everything is looking pretty good though on mobile, right? I think so. I don't have I have the X app installed. I don't have Facebook or LinkedIn installed on my phone, so I'm not going to test those here. I just wanted to take a look and see how some things were looking. I think everything is looking, for the most part, pretty good. Contact page. Okay. Yeah, I think everything's looking fine. All right. Let's check and see if we can share that X post. Yeah, it works. There it is. Oh, let me post it. There we go. I'm just going to stick with what I have. What about Pinterest? What is the sharing link for Pinterest? To get a sharing link for Pinterest, navigate to your profile. No. Pin link. Click on a pin, tap the share icon. Share pins, boards, profiles. Send pins, boards, profiles. Copy pro, no. Let's just ask ChatGPT. And Virtue Reason is asking, is it really white collar jobs will vanish within 12 months? I think you're asking me an AI question. No, of course not. White collar jobs are not going to vanish within 12 months. I mean, I will be the first to admit that AI is definitely getting better and better. Like every time they release a new update, it's able to do things that it couldn't do 6 months ago. No, I don't think that white collar jobs are going to disappear. So, I mean that would just be that would be crazy. So, of course, I don't have a crystal ball either. So, anything could happen. I think if the real question is should I bother learning development, the answer is yes, you should bother learning development. I still think that people need to know how to do this work. Real humans need to know how to do this work. So, okay, what was I just going to do? ChatGPT. So for context, let's tell ChatGPT what we're doing. I'm making social sharing buttons for a blog, and these are the links I'm using. They work perfectly and don't require an API. Can you tell me a similar sharing link for Pinterest? I'm making social sharing buttons for a blog, and these are the links I'm using. They work perfectly and don't require an API. Can you tell me a similar sharing link for Pinterest? Love this approach. Clean, no SDKs, no tracking scripts, just URLs. Yes, baby. I don't want to use an API to share. Pinterest works the same way. Their share endpoint is pinterest.com/pin create button. Here's the full pattern you want. So it's just button URL equals the page URL and media equals image URL and description equals text. So for your example, something like okay, and a description. Yeah, and we're going to have to do the encoded URL URI tomorrow, but we're going to make it all dynamic. So, media must be a full absolute URL image must be a full absolute URL to an image. Got it. URL encoded text. Okay, interesting. Pinterest really cares about the image. If media is missing or invalid, it won't behave the way Facebook or Twitter does. If you want to keep it dynamic in your blog template, you typically inject a current page URL, a featured image URL, and a post title, and URL encode the title and description. Fair enough? One more thing. If you're already using proper Open Graph image meta tags, Pinterest will often pull from those too, but explicitly passing media gives you more control, which I know you prefer. Okay, beautiful. And let's see here. Every time I start follows for a month, 2 months, but I fail in coding, I am not consistent. After that, I have to start everything from scratch. What should I do? So I think that you're saying that you start to work on something, but you're not consistent and you have to start over again. I mean, that's what happens when you're not consistent. So I don't think I have like a really, I can't really sugarcoat the answer to this question if I'm understanding your question correctly, which is that it's literally a language. Yeah, Malik has a is a good putting it well here. That's how most are. We can't remember everything we learn. We all have to refresh our brains and relearn some material. So, well, and so here's the thing. It's really a language. It is. You in order to learn a language, you have to practice it. You can't not be consistent and expect to remember things. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. So here's though the thing. Be a good note taker. Use Git. Make sure that you save all of your work and let Git be your note taking system. I go back in my GitHub all the time. I'm like, ooh, where's that thing that I did? And I can go find it and refresh my memory because I don't remember everything. But also, you do have to be consistent. You have to practice. You have to, that's what I'm doing here. This is literally what I'm doing. I told myself a year and a half ago, like, you're not practicing enough. Your skills are not sharp enough. You have to change that. So I started live streaming and coding in public. And now, I mean, I have dramatically improved, especially my CSS and my layout skills. My accessibility is getting better. And that's because I practice consistently. And I wasn't getting that practice in my job because I spent a lot of time in meetings and I wasn't doing fresh builds. I was doing a lot of maintaining. Now I do a lot of fresh builds and I'm constantly iterating and constantly practicing my skills. So if you really want to be good at it and learn to retain information, you have to be consistent. But also, you don't have to remember everything. Just have a GitHub, take notes, and practice. And I promise you, you won't have to constantly start over. But it is too time consuming. A few months ago, I learned React, but now it is difficult to see JavaScript, and React is far away from me. That is a you problem. Listen, I'm definitely not going to sugarcoat this. What do you mean it's too time consuming? Yeah, it's called work. What's the matter with you? Get your ass in gear and get to work. And do not come into the chat and cry about how time consuming it is. Come on, get real. This is hard work. We put in hundreds or thousands of hours worth of time. If you think this should somehow be easier, pick a different profession. This is work. You have to put in the time. I'm not going to sugarcoat that answer, and I'm not going to listen to people say, but it's too time consuming. What's wrong with you? If you don't want to put in the work, then go do something else. This takes time. It's hard work. If you want to do it, you can do it. You will have to put in the time. I'm just not going to sugarcoat these answers anymore. Get time to get busy. Time to get busy and practice. If it's too much work, then don't do it. Find something else to do. So, yeah, if you want it bad enough, it'll happen. Listen, if you can have anything you want, do you realize that? Do you realize that you can have anything you want if you're willing to do the work? The only difference between me and you is that I've done the work and you haven't. If you want to learn how to be good at this and retain the information, get busy. Start getting busy. You can have it. You can do it. But please don't cry about how time consuming it is. Because it undermines every single person in the chat who's put in there, who are doing the reps. I'm 12, almost 13 years into my career, and I still have to practice because I don't retain the information. I have to do it over and over and over again in order to remember and to stay good at it. So you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Okay, so let's copy this. And ChatGPT is saying that Pinterest is really going to want to see this encoded. Hang on one second. Okay. let's copy this. We'll do this next, and then we'll call it a day. We'll wrap it up. So our image, let's grab our image. Makes sense that Pinterest is super focused on the image. Here's our image. Where is it here? Media. And then we can leave this as the description. This will be super fun tomorrow, I think, to write some JavaScript to make all of this dynamic. And then we'll get that print button working as well. Hang on, hey, give me a second here. I'm gonna look it up. The Shia LaBeouf Just Do It meme. Okay. I'm not familiar with that meme. Not that I'm a meme expert, but I will Google that next. Let's make sure that this works. Okay. I love it. You don't need APIs for any of these sharing buttons. Yeah, don't let your dreams just be dreams. Just do it. Agreed. Okay, let's push this. Adding a Pinterest sharing link. Git push origin main. Okay. So we'll let that percolate and deploy. All right. Hang on.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
So hopefully you guys heard that. I love it. I've never seen this before. How have I never seen this before? Thank you, Rahul. You know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie, this reminds me of myself 3 years ago. I also wanted to learn everything in a short amount of time. I love the meme. Listen, I like Shia LaBeouf. I first saw Shia LaBeouf in that movie Holes, which is such a good movie. I read the book too. Have you guys seen this movie, Holes from 2003? Stanley Yelnats. So I like Shia LaBeouf, and I know he's had a tough life. He's done some stuff, but I think he's a really good actor and I really, really like him. And I have never seen that meme before. But this is hard work. Everything that we're doing here is hard work, and it takes years and thousands of hours of practice. And you can absolutely do it, but you have to put in the reps. I always liked the "don't let your dreams be dreams" line. Don't hope for it, just make it a reality. Yeah, just do it. Just do it. You are amazing. Just do it. But no one, what do you do after the tough situation? Shia LaBeouf is a great actor. Hollywood abandoned him. That's a interesting, that's an, Hollywood abandoned him. I mean, Hollywood, listen, I don't, Hollywood is full of assholes. I can't stand, I love movies and TV shows and music. I love all those things just like the rest of us, right? But I think Hollywood is filled with assholes. So, yeah, I think that he's got some issues, just like normal people have issues and problems, right? So, what was I going to say though? Oh, I wanted to go back to this comment right here. I'm not going to lie, this reminds me of myself 3 years ago. I also wanted to learn everything in a short amount of time. To me, it's like layers. It's like layers. You learn one thing and then you layer on the next thing and you layer on the next thing. And here's why this project-based approach is so incredibly important. It's because you start out saying to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to build this web page and I'm going to have a sticky header and I'm going to have a background with a blurry image, and then I'm going to make this grid, and then I'm going to try to make parallax, and then I'm going to do a subscription form." You don't actually have to know how to do those things in order to do them. You just have to get started and learn those things one by one. First, you learn how to do the sticky header. Then you figure out how to do the blurry background, and then you figure out how to do a grid, and you just layer your skills on top of each other, one by one. Problems will present themselves, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, I don't know how to do this." And then you're going to sit down and figure out how to do it. And then you're going to move on to the next thing. And then you're going to move on to the next thing. And the way you retain information is by, number one, constantly practicing. So you start a project, you finish a project, and then you start another project, right? So you need the rep of iteration, starting, finishing. Having a GitHub where you save all of your code and everything that you do, because little things you're not going to remember how to do, but you're going to be like, "Oh, wait a second. I did this like last month, or I did this last year, or I did this last summer. And I know it's in my GitHub. What was that project?" And you're going to go back and find it. So you don't have to reinvent that wheel. Those are the two most important things, but you have to put in the reps. You have to put in the reps. So, yeah. So let's check and see now if our Pinterest works. Hover. I don't have anything yet. Oh, yep, there it is. Okay. Can you see it down at the bottom there? Let me make sure that I am signed into Pinterest. I usually am. Okay, I am signed into Pinterest. So I'll click the pin. Look at that. Choose a board. Create a board. I'll just put it here. Saved. Okay. I've never shared anything on Pinterest. This is just occurring to me now. Where did I save it? I don't know where I saved it. Hang on. Oh, right here. I saved it right here. Oh, right here. Look at that. There it is. Nordic Sky at Night. The Nordic Sky at Night from Minnesota is really beautiful. I think this pulled this from the Open Graph tag. We did it. You guys, we did it. We created sharing buttons. We didn't need an API. We just used links. So the next step now is tomorrow we are going to work on our final button, which is a print button, and we'll write some print styles. And then we will make these dynamic. And to make these dynamic, we're just going to grab the URL of the page. We could probably even get, if we have Open Graph, so let's say that every page has Open Graph data, we could probably just dynamically grab the title, the image, and a description if we need it from our Open Graph data. That's probably going to be the easiest place to grab that stuff. And then just grab the URL of the page, and then we can make our sharing links dynamic. So super easy to do, really, really valuable, especially if you're doing client work. This is such an important part, I think, of search engine optimization and social media, is making sure that your clients can share their links on social media, and the images, the descriptions, the titles are coming up. Make it easy for people to email, make it easy for people to print by writing some print styles. So yeah, this is great. I need to sit down once and for all and make like a list of things that every project has to have. I don't think every project has to have a blog with social sharing buttons, but I think every project needs to have Open Graph meta tags. And I think that this is a pretty good basic set of starter tags to make sure. Yeah, for real. And then make it part of the QA process that we can, at the very least, test on the Facebook debugger. And honestly, scrape on the Facebook debugger, make sure you can share it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. I think those three would be the top three to make sure that as QA, it could be shared. And we would know that it would work because our Open Graph meta tag information would be filled in. So I love it. All right. What do we think? This was a successful day. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We would love to have you. I'm here Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're just practicing. I am an all vanilla channel, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, just because I just enjoy that process. It's not because I think that you can get a job not knowing React or Tailwind or Bootstrap. You're obviously going to have to know those things, but I want you to know these things as well. So this is where I tend to concentrate. If you're over on Instagram, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's sort of, I call it dev adjacent lifestyle content. I don't post a ton on Instagram, but I'm starting to post a lot more on Instagram. So if you hang out over there, give me a follow. If you have questions for me or you want to reach out, hit me up in my DMs. If you have a question about anything that I did in a stream or any of my videos or just anything front end related, I would love to hear from you. Yeah, that's a good place to catch me because I'm a doom scroller. That's how I spend my downtime, is just doom scrolling reels. And I don't feel bad about that at all. I actually love it. So that's that. Okay, well, we'll be back tomorrow. Let's see here. Thank you, Malik. I appreciate that. Oh, I like this comment from no one. Most general and most effective tips. Start a project and finish that project. And listen, perfect is the enemy of done. Stop thinking about things as needing to be perfect in order to be finished. That's just not how the real world works. Start small and finish that project. This is excellent advice. Listen to the chat. And hey, I want your advice. Last month, I lose my channel with 21,000 subs. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be front-end dev. I am 20. I am practicing content creation for 3 straight years. Should I continue? Yes. I'm sorry you lost your channel. If the question is, should I continue? Yes, you should continue. I think you should keep going. I'm always gonna, if somebody says, should I do something, I'm always probably going to say yes. You know, assuming that you're not talking about something completely self-destructive. If it's being on YouTube or being on social media or should I be a developer, the answer is always going to be yes, you should do it. So, okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.